processes in different regions, in villages, in Tavush, and then in Oshotsk area, Goris, etc. So I kind of tried to make like a map where I can produce different things and then connect them so I can make a whole collection. That's what I've been working on, like sort of a net, like a bigger factory in entire Armenia. I lived in villages on borderline in Davush. Actually, 2 of the villages where I stayed are now in Azerbaijan. And then, like, literally within the 2 months, I decided to not go anywhere else because everywhere I go, it goes to Azerbaijan after. I'm like, I'm gonna stop this. Okay, that was a bad joke. Anyways, yeah, so I finally finished the project. I made a whole collection of clothing made from scratch in Armenia. What I mean from scratch, it means the fabrics, the threads, and everything is made in Armenia. One thing is in one region or one village, and then we moved like the fabric to the other place where they did the embroidery and then stitching, etc. So we made everything from scratch in Armenia. Voila, that's what I finished. Meanwhile, I was doing the jewelry so I can keep the sales and the work sustainable to sustain myself and the process going on. And it worked well. The jewelry worked, I would say, unexpectedly interesting. I always wanted to sculpt. I always wanted to make some shapes. I didn't know what I wanted when I was starting the clothing even. I just wanted something that's not going to stay on the paper and it's just going to be useful and physical. And, okay, am I good to go? Okay,
of course. Perfect.
So we're going to talk about patterns today. And this is just an object. There is an object, and every object has a pattern. And every pattern, every object also has a functional. We're talking just about the pattern of an object, what it's going to be looking like. Even us, every human has a pattern. Our face, we're all one object, a human, and then we all have different patterns. It's very, very much visible in, like, if you just look at a country. For example, as a fashion designer, it's easy to see how in a country, when it's like closer to another country borderline, the pattern is changing, the outfit is changing. It's not the same. And it's very much influenced from the environment. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that helped me figure things out and helped me take it to the level that I, let's say, accomplished. So the first question that I would ask myself, how it happens that I go to a museum or I travel somewhere in Armenia, I see something, you start to understand it belongs to you, it's part of you, even you haven't seen it before, but you have it in your sketches and you're like, wow, I've done this like last year, it just looks like my sketch, or this happened to anyone?
Yeah.
You've seen it before. Does anyone have an experience that we want to share?
It's more like when you go to the museum and see so advanced things. Like recently I went to Armenian History Museum and I was too impressed that like I can't stop talking about it every time, and I recently tried to use it as my recent work. Like it was block print and it was so simple, it was so tiny little bit, and it had some pictures of sceneries of like harvesting, wars or something else. And I was like, it's so tiny and it includes so much in it. And I called my work gratitude because it was like this thankfulness to everything you own and God has given or environment has given to you, and you're trying to show your gratitude to it. And yeah, it was like everything, everyone, every work was around it that topic to thank everything that you have received in your whole lifetime, and that's so much interesting for me. And you understand like how people had a very small life, and they try to do everything so perfectly and without these technologies these days, and they did very clear works, and I was just amazed. I wish I lived there sometimes.
Yeah, you just turn off the Wi-Fi, put your phone away, and you do that.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of difficult to live like this. The fast life that is like passing by you, and you try to do everything slowly, and sometimes you think you're missing out something.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but like it's so good to live the slow life, to enjoy every minute, because I think sometimes we miss out things when we live fastly.
True. Yesterday we didn't have electricity for 4 hours. I didn't have battery and stuff. And I was looking through the photos and all the mood boards that I've been making and the work that I've done. And I never had enough time to do it. And I was enjoying my slow time to really go through that. Okay, I'm going to move forward. This is another example. No, I'm going to come back to this later. Ever happened you went to a museum in a different country, or you just travel in a different country, and then you see something, and then you're like, this could be like Armenian, or it's like, it could be part of my culture. How it comes that somewhere here somebody has this too, and you feel like sort of belonging to a certain product or something. Ever happens? A lot. Can anyone bring an example? I have some visuals here. It's not this, but it's this. For me, I collected some stuff for myself that like it made me feel like, well, it's clearly Mesopotamian stuff, and then it's just seemed to be familiar to me. This guy was captured in London, but I'll show some of my works. It looks like I made it. Yeah, I'm telling you, I was like, yeah, in the past life, I was like, how is this even possible? I've never seen this, but it looks like I made it. I know even.
I just hard to believe that reincarnation is Yes.
I would love to hear if anyone has an example, like they went somewhere, they saw something, like you thought it's like, it's Russian, but it's not. It's like, I don't know, made from like a different culture. I mean, this happens, for example, Peruvian culture, Mexican culture has a lot in common with the Armenian, for me, from what I understand.
Irish one.
Irish. That's very true. Even Chinese and Japanese and Asian. Yeah. I feel like there was like a large layer of history that's missing, that a lot was in common, like sort of a history is missing something, and it makes things more complicated, like civilization conflict. Now we're not aware of it.
It can be because of the patterns of the people's behavior.
Yeah.
Like history has patterns.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, because we think that the things which are happening in our country are happening
only in our country.
Yeah, but the same thing without any connection can happen, like very similar thing can happen in different countries, and that's about the patterns, that very general patterns.
Genocide stuff is very related to Irish.
Yeah.
I was there as well, and I have many similarities.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Between Armenian and Irish?
I think it's because we all are first humans, and we have experienced the same environment, same kind of development of lifetime, like started from discovering the fire to like try to make living, and we have all witnessed the same things. And I think that's what connects us.
But there is a human who's, at the end of the day, saying something, and then he's recreating something. he's processing, and then through his like vision and hands, he's recreating something. How comes people in completely different locations can recreate something similar? I mean, for me, it's fascinating.
And without the access to the internet.
Without the access to the internet, we don't know how they would connect. Actually, maybe it's the slow life. They would pass the information longer, like it would take years to share an information or something. But
I think it's also about emotions that we have, like the same.
but
emotions.
you mean it's possible? I mean, I don't mind that, but it's more impressive if it's possible that human creature can reproduce not exactly the same, but a pattern that's so close to the other one, feel the emotion and express the emotion so close to someone else 1,000 miles away.
I think that we have a very general source of motivation, which is not visible for all of us, but it's like very general for all of us, and we can observe that thing in religions. For example, during the first period of all religions, there is a very common pattern which repeats in all religions, which are not connected. The things which are very similar, fascinating. I even checked one documentary about religions, and it was really amazing. So, like similar characters, similar things, etc., etc.
Yeah, so, the guy.
Yeah. I think we have one source of motivation which is common for all of us, and which is not visible for all of us. I mean, it can be anything, doesn't matter, but it makes us to create very similar things.
And you think the humans were never connected? I'm just curious.
We are connected.
I argue about that.
We are not that different, actually.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
And evolution is like has very similar, very, let's say, generic way of how to say. I forget the word. Ճիշտ է, մոռացել եմ որ։ Ինձ թվում է էվոլյուցիան շատ հստակ բան ունի, զարգացման template, pattern։ Ու քանի որ մենք բոլորս մի կետից ենք սկսվել, բոլորիս մոտ անկախ իրարից նույն ձևով զարգանում է, նույն որ ապրումային բանն է կրկնվում։
Շատ հետաքրքիր բան ես ասում։
Isn't it also about like the school and the influences and the trends that we used to have? I mean, we didn't have internet, but we used to have like schools, educational institutions, maybe cultural communities that also influenced our works. And depending like what culture, maybe, I don't know, influence was there, and like who we were influenced by, or like not only the culture, maybe architectural, I don't know, or some other things like that.
It's absolutely possible. I lost what I was saying.
You are looking just like for connections.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna move forward to the other illustration. I'm actually going back. This is on one side Armenian and Iranian patterns. It's also interesting how they're, well, obviously one side is in Mehri because it's on the border with Iran, and the other one is clearly in Iran. Who can say what's the main and general difference? Argin is going to know.
Color.
No, for me, in this part, there are characters and persons. In that part,
Right.
it's only patterns.
Because it's really, it's depending on the religion.
Yeah.
Iranian, or not just Iranian, Islamic culture does not accept to praise humans. So they just make patterns. And in Armenian culture, humanizing or putting human faces is very common. It's my latest discovery, which was very surprising to me. So when I went to Mehri for the first time, everything was in first glance looking very Iranian to me. And then I was looking at the characters, they look so Armenian. I mean, Look at those pictures. It's an Armenian dude standing there, I'm telling you. I mean, there's a way you put the eyebrows, I mean, the eyes, and it's interesting how through that they could show the Armenianness, even though the patterns are very much Iranian. I'm going to bring an example on carpets. There are carpets made all around the world. They can paint or make the same flower, but for example, the Iranian one is a bit more rounded. It's a bit more detailed. The colors are more vibrant. The Armenian ones are more like sharp. I wouldn't say minimalistic, but they're more straight. They're more like chora.
Rough.
They're more rough, I would say. And you can see it in the character, the way we cook, the way we talk. Like Iranians speak more like, it's like flooding. The food they make, it's long. I mean, it's, you see how this pattern, it's the same pattern, but you can see how it's expressed in the food, in language, in their visual art. Visual art is what we catch the first because we see faster maybe, and then we hear it, and then we hear, and then we taste it, but it's the same pattern and we can recognize it. It's what amazes me the most, and that's why I'm so captivated with this topic in general. So I'm gonna be showing my first ever work done with a pattern. I was a student when I did this. I went for studies, and then I came back, and for the first time in my life, I saw tuf, even that I grew up in Yerevan.
Still without eyes, right? Like you go out somewhere else and then you come back and like, yeah.
I was like, what is this? It's so pretty. I fell in love with the million colors of pink. It was amazing to me. I was like, this is so beautiful. How is it possible that this entire time I never saw it? And then it's different. I mean, I've traveled before, but it was the first time I moved somewhere alone for a while, and you're changing, and I was young by that time, and I came back, and it was the first time I realized that there are so many things around that we do not see. And it helped me a lot to start to see more things around me. As a design, I'm not so proud of myself, what I did, because as a designer, there's a process you need to go. I just saw it, I took a photo, I worked on the file, and then I printed. Technically, as a professional designer, now that I can call myself so, I think that there's a lack of design process. I didn't do enough process. For a student, I think I did a great job. And I would say, after so many years, after I've done many projects, even if I didn't do a great design job, this is one of my most beautiful, I think, and most successful business projects. Because it's very, very clear. You see where is the inspiration from? It's something you love. It's something you want to wear. We're talking about more like business here. And I'm going to move forward because it's this stage I start more thinking about what fashion should be like, what shapes should be like, what design process should be like. And I learned how to see the environment. Like my third eye opened at that moment. I started to travel around Armenia, and that's when I started to move to other regions. And then I made, I'm going to come back to this. I made a little mood board, a pattern board for me that I collected from Armenia. I'm sure everyone has this in their phones. Even if you zoom and crop it, you're going to find it. And you can easily make a mood board for yourself from this, and then start from here. It's very clear to me. I'm gonna give you some time to look through. It's nothing crazy, right? It's nothing crazy, but it's the base. I'm happy you had coffee because there's going to be a lot of visuals. It's going to look like my desk. I made a structure of mood boards for you to help you understand how I did the working process. I did layers. That's the base, the first one that I showed you of my mood board. It's the base. It's like the A of the ABC. And then I followed to other, I'm gonna come here to show you. Let's say it's the base. There are some textures, there are some colors, I don't know if you use them or not. And then from that, you come to more details. I took two directions. I'm more focused on jewelry and stones and more symbols, etc. And then I went on the carpet part, more other kind of textures, etc. I just took two directions. Don't do this at home. Don't repeat this. It's not a good idea to do. And then from there, from this symbols, from this philosophy, I continued here and I ended up here. And then from here, I took two directions. So I made jewelry out of it and some details of the collection. And then from a pattern here, I created a space. From something flat, I created a space, and then I created clothing. From a pattern, I created 3D objects and other patterns. So these are some ways to expand into work. I'm going to go for more detailed explanation and more detailed visuals to you. So we remember this, guys. And then I just added this guy. So when I traveled, I started to notice a lot of human faces and a lot of dragons. It's the first Christian country. We're so proud to be the first Christian country. But this one, for example, it's the detailed version of, you can see here. This is actually right next to the church on Pushkin Street in the yard. Zoravar. The dragons are still there. I mean, they never left. And it's fascinating how since 5,000 years ago, dragons are present in Armenia. And I was like, what's happening here? I'm going to follow. I started to research other cultures because a lot of information about Armenian culture is lost. I saw a lot of human faces on the churches, some dragon textures. It was part of a cross, by the way. It had a dragon pattern and dragon texture. It's like, what's happening here? These are ancient dragon earrings and rings. And a lot of human animal faces everywhere, everywhere you go. Now you're going to see, if you haven't noticed that, it's interesting. And I was like looking at the features. They all have this eyebrows. Look at, they really highlight the eyebrows, the shape of the eyes. We see this characters also in Magri painted. And of course the texture, the stone. This is an ancient dragon stone. I don't have it here, but there are also dragon stones that have human faces. They're mostly in Sunni. And the how do you call it? The symbol of, I see, the symbol of eternity. It's everywhere, everywhere. So let's say this is my base to start to think and design. So next step is sort of sketching. What's most important that in Armenia we don't like to do is when you get inspired from something, you don't take it and put on your design. It's not, somebody designed this. It's not my design. Bohos in 14th century designed this. It's Bohos' design. It's not my design. I can be inspired, but I have to create my character. That's what my job's supposed to be. And maybe someone will look at my design and be like, okay, this looks like what Bohos did in 14th century, but I'm not supposed to take this one. And that's where the sketches and more detailed work is coming. I'm gonna talk about this, and there should be another illustration that's similar. It's what Sonya Avagyan discovered. It's one of Armenian secret writings. They're called Sunaketagir, like I cannot translate that. It's like a line and dot writing. It's a secret alphabet which Armenians would understand because there is a number structure of the alphabet. It's coding. It's has a lot in common with astrology. Armenian alphabet is actually really interesting. So I started to get into astrology, and what I discovered that dragons have a lot coming from astrology. So I was like, okay, there's something more we can explore. I started thinking about coding. I started thinking about digitalizing this. I ended up using this codes to create a pattern. I mean, it's like I used it as a particle to create this guys in the end. I don't know if you would see that. And then I thought it would be looking like this a little bit. I thought it's like the first coding ever because it was created in 12th century. It was earlier than Morse alphabet.
Yeah, it's like a vertical version of Morse alphabet.
Sort of. I started working on 3D to create some shapes that would be looking like them. What I want to mention, I didn't do it purposely. I was not looking at this and creating this. I just saw them. I put them on the back of my head and I just create. It's gonna come. You don't have to push yourself, really. This is a sketch when I did this when I was 15. I don't know how I ended up here from this, but it was there. I don't know. It's the symbol of eternity we took as a base, but it's more like a portal. We again use the particles here to create. It's like a sphere. It's like a space to start to creating. I went somewhere. I don't smoke anything. It's just we try to play around. And I went to the final products. These are the earrings. This is the top that we made with the, I don't know if you see the resembles, but we can see the wing situation here, the texture, the humanized characters, the metalness, a pattern that's about something. This is the first sketch that I did. This is the sweater top that we ended up making. And then from here, we had a version like this. I have a failed, I put on purpose, failed example of a pattern. We ended up making candies. The portal came to, this portal to a detail for a necklace. That's the key to open and close. The dragon body became a part of a necklace. It's here, you can see it. I'm just trying to show how, from inspiration of what we saw on a church or somewhere, we came to a completely new design. I don't know if you see the resembles. I don't know if you see that it's a new family member from the household, but we tried to do that. We even made candies from Hanba with this faces of a tree. It's one example how we came from a pattern to an object, a functional object. It was just the first example. Should we move forward? Is it interesting?
Of course.
Okay. Okay, we're going back again here to the base.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I wonder where you saw the photos like trendy stuff. I don't
Trendy
see
stuff.
Yeah.
Wait,
All this stuff. Yeah.
it's what I made.
Yeah, I know. Where you sold them and like
Oh.
country boys.
Here and in France. Soon in Dubai. Any other questions though? Regarding making from a pattern to an object? No.
questions. I'm inspired.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're coming to the base again. This we're gonna see often. I didn't notice, but it's something astrological has to do with it, but also stamps. I didn't realize that. I just remembered it. There are things that I never used though, but I have them. I have the torma. I don't know. I have the crowd from a protest and Avelug. And this is just a pattern made from water on a wall. I just keep it here. Maybe it's physically or visually not there, but Stolma is there. We feel it. We keep it. So I went on a different direction from the base. I went to not the stones, not the architecture or something. I went to other objects like carpets, like astrology I already discovered. This is one of the first charts I found in Madanadaran that they would calculate astrology. It's Maga Hati Viraya. Does anyone see that? It's really old. And I just choose a different direction. Just to give you an idea about what's happening here, these all are dragon carpets. I have more if you want to see. I have all the dragon carpets in my phone and computer. In books, there are totally different things and different information. I had to do a research on dragons of Scandinavian culture, Japanese, Chinese, Indian to figure out what's happening here because there's bullshit. I'm sorry. But it's like they just looked through the carpet and they just made an idea. So because there was astrology involved in all this, I decided to research that. Now I'm going to ask you, what do you see here? I'm just curious. It's not very much related to the topic. I'm just curious.
Dragons.
Where do you see the dragons? Here.
Not there.
There.
Yeah.
You think these are dragons?
I feel like
Are they
Like-
dragons?
their mouth open. And
Can we zoom in, please?
I'm not sure if I can do that,
Okay, that's okay.
but I can give you my
It's a
iPad.
fish and dragon.
Who said fish? Where do you see the fish?
On the same place. There's a looks like mix of fish and dragons.
Is it true? I have two things to add. First, we already have like dragons in our minds, so whatever you say,
Yes.
like we're looking for the signs to prove the right point. And the second thing, I see fire, flames.
Very good.
but I think there are lots of animals.
Very good.
Yeah, like wait, it's holding.
Yeah, I was
Like foxes,
Uh-huh.
like there are like dragons like mouth open with fire.
Oh, can I say something?
Oh,
It's
Clodagh.
out of topic, actually. That thing in the middle of those two fish dragons, that they're looking at it,
Dragons.
it has like a lot of hands. I feel like it's something from the universe, and it's a kind of god to those, so they're looking up to it. I don't know I don't think it's possible.
I'm
but-
happy to hear any option because it's very entertaining and interesting.
imagination.
Yeah.
It doesn't really
The versions that I have read in books, I'm gonna present to you so you understand how far is it from the theory. I'm just an artist. I'm not supposed to be right on that. But I've heard that there is in the middle a male and a female body. Like one is standing like this and one is standing like this, and they're like mixed. And then in between there is just art.
Oh,
That's
talking about that.
yes, exactly. So as if these lines are presented as male and female body, which I
I see the
don't.
face in
so
the
like
head.
the main characters are the lines, not the.
That's
It's
not
like face, head, hands,
yeah, as if
and legs.
as if, and you can see the same lines here. When I was researching this, I figured out what's this, but I was not understanding. Okay, what are these guys? Definitely not a male and a female. That's bullshit. And at that moment, I discovered from the Indian culture, Ketu and Rahu. It's in the astrology. They incorporated it in astrology. there are the non-physical planets that are dragons that are responsible for the human's life, where the soul is coming from, for your karma basically, and where the soul is going. It's like they create a note that looks like this in 3D, and if you put it as a pattern, it's gonna look like this.
Oh.
And then you put some stuff inside, and then you have this.
Oh, the one you showed, like, really beautiful. This one.
This.
This one is kind of, I don't know, yeah.
Okay. I was not sure about that, but for a moment, I thought, what if, theoretically, it was a 3D that they imagined, and they just painted and then made a carpet just to present it. They didn't have the technologies to do it. But because the main dragon stones that exist from 5,000 years ago are in a shape of a catfish, Loco Zuk. And if we look at this guy, we would see the mustache of a catfish, the texture of the fish and the tail, and it's swimming. The red and the white dragon, they're the positive and negative energy. If we look through the fairy tales, etc., like the dragon is the one who's standing in front of the door, and you have to win the dragon to pass to the next life, right? Technically. And then here it's cropped, unfortunately, but I'll show you a photo later. It's the phoenix bird.
Oh.
And if we read the carpet from up and down, the fish is responsible for the life to start, to be born.
Oh.
And then there is a balance between negative and positive energies, and then you put it in sustainability. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, in Armenia, some of carpet producers put this carpet upside down, and they think it's like that, and they call it anahit. My brain is exploding there, to be honest. This is a dragon carpet. It's about life. It's about sustainability of life. And it's about the balance that we should keep, that it's okay to have negative and positive things in life, and one can never exist without other. This is the main Armenian philosophy that's been there 5,000 years ago, that lives up until now, and it came in a pattern on the churches and everywhere in different forms, and here as well. So that was just to give you an idea. It's not about, well, it is about pattern, technically, just to give you more idea what it's about, why it's so captivating for me to follow working. Here is some design that went from the astrological inspiration. From this, guys, I went to what the information that I gave you, I tried to illustrate, wrote some stuff with the code and made some illustrations. It comes from these patterns, and then made some coupon patterns here. I never used them. Made this and this, and then I used the texture of the carpet to make a jacket, etc. Like, from here, I take one detail, from there I take one detail, and then I mix and match, see if it's gonna work or not. From here to real objects, oh, these are other sketches. To a real life, made only several of them. This one that has a dragon texture, that comes from here. It was very common. This never made it. This is the code that resembles me to this kind of stuff. This is stitching. Stitching is sort of sandwich puffer jacket from 14th century. I made a lot of sketches, and then I made this jacket with the same technique. And then the red dragon and the white dragon. I made some jackets that have no stitches but have the dragon texture. And it also looks like the Ganzasaj Mountains with its texture. It's something that's just stayed in my head. I wanted to represent something else. We're going back to the base of the carpets, because this was the story of how from this base and carpet road we took about the dragons, we came to a collection. now based on what I told you about a dragon carpet, I'm going to show you how I made this a pattern to a space, like a physical, well, not a physical, but a digital space. So I explained that I imagined that this could be a 3D object, that this could be like a real flower. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the animation that we've made, but I made some sketches. This is how I tried to imagine. These are the red and the white notes. And in between we have the objects. What could it be? And I started making the 3D object of this guy. I tried to imagine if I use the same Samben particles as a code to create this guy's like a bit matrix situation. And this flower is this guy. And we try to make it 3D. Every object, well, if you notice also, when the knots are closing, there are flowers blooming. It means when there is a cross happening, there is a bloom there. So new
Like
life. Yeah. This is from a different perspective. I don't know if it's possible to see it, but do you understand what it is or no?
It's a dragon carved from another dimension.
Yeah, from a different perspective. It was planned to do a digital fashion show inside it. We made it, but I didn't launch it at the moment because the digital fashion is suspended at the moment, but we're going to have it. So you're the first to see this. I don't know if you see that, but these are
Gates.
These are the fire flowers that are from another angle. This is the flower here. In the animation, it's closing and opening. There's a model that's supposed to walk, and the white and the red dragon that are fighting each other. And on the, I apologize. I don't know why it's raining. Jesus. Voila, and these are the codes digitized. So I brought some examples from, again, going back here, how it's possible to bring from a very simple base that every one of you surely has in their phone to this, to a collection, to a jewelry collection and characters. Everyone can do it, I'm sure. It's just you need to widely open your eyes, observe, process, think. Even I've done all this. To be honest, I still consider that this is the best project to me because you don't have to explain everyone where it's from, da-da-da-da-da. You just look and you understand it. It was just my professional journey that I shared with you. Sorry.
But also it's somewhat unfortunate that people see the things you do as pretty things, but they don't
Recognize the meaning.
understood the process, the deep.
They don't have to.
I'm not sure. I think when they know, it's much more meaningful.
I will give you a good example.
At least you need to have some kind of brand philosophy on your side.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm sorry, I'm going to come back to you. What phone are you using?
iPhone,
Why are you using iPhone?
simplicity and like connection with other devices.
Do you use all the functions of iPhone?
No.
There you go.
Nobody.
There you go. You answered to your own question. A good product has all the layers.
Incorporated, like.
Yes, you want to have the option to use it when you need it, but you don't use it. It's the same with the art. A good art has all the answers to all the questions, but you don't use them all the time. But you see it. You see the quality. You see the iPhone and you see another phone. You can clearly see that this one is a good one. This one, you're not sure. And if you look at the product in person, I don't have physical examples here, you're going to see this is you're going to be like, okay, let's go through it. It doesn't have to be really. You will ask, I will answer. You will want to pay the price to have it. Somebody who knows it will understand. Somebody who doesn't know, it's not even his business.
I think sometimes you should put some space and not give the full explanation, so someone can tell you something that they see in the work. So like they have their perspective.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh my god, I didn't notice
That's even better than mine.
Yeah.
Right. Why not?
I work with a lot of designers, and every time they come and everyone gives their own point of view, I'm like, and now sometimes I see things with their eyes, and I try to build mine on it. So
and it's hard for
and
you.
yeah, my recent workshop leader was like, we were we were describing some pictures and just giving some words that comes up first in our minds, and he's like, no explanation, just read whatever you want. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, and it's like you don't have to explain it because the person in front of you should
Have his own
process
vision.
their ideas.
I think it's like about artworks. Like when you see painting, you're buying it because maybe you see something that's yours. So I think
I have a very good story about my university experience. I'm director with my first profession, and once my lecturer, the top one, I don't know, the one who is responsible
the team
for
lead.
yes, team lead,
Oh.
and he was very famous artist for that period.
Who was that?
He's my Sarkisian, but he's like mostly famous
Okay.
in theatrical. That's it.
Okay.
And he was like, you know what? I mean, I was preparing my, let's say, my performance, as his performance. I was staging it, and he was like looking on it, and he was like thinking something. And he said, you know what? And I was like, what? Expecting something special because his face and like everything was very special in that specific moment. He was like, you will never succeed in art. And I was like, why? He was like, you are thinking too much.
There you go.
That's the worst and best thing I have ever heard. But I think it actually works. Because art sometimes is not about like thinking. It's about creating. It's about inspiration. It is possible that everything what we see is like something not really connected with that basic roots, possibly. But
Maybe
this is
I'm
what we can
bullshitting.
call out. Yeah.
It's just my vision. Seriously, maybe it has nothing to do with the reality. Maybe there was a woman who was just she did a sketch and she just did that, and then
stuff.
somebody liked it and repeated.
No.
We would never know.
Yeah.
And honest, yes.
But this can be just an instrument for you to create something new.
Exactly.
Right.
it's like everything is a repetition of repetition.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
It's yes and no. Well, if you want me to be very honest, I'm saying this as an artist because art curator or someone that studies art doesn't want to hear this from an artist. I did not process as much as I presented now when I was creating. I was seeing, I was sketching, I was sketching, and then I like this one I take out of it. I processed after when people start asking me questions. And even the humanized like characters that I've been making or something, even the dresses, I didn't think I take this from here, I do this from here. I just had it there. I saw it. I liked it. I created some sort of a mood board that I would not remember exactly at that moment when I'm sketching or I'm doing something or pinning. it was just there, and nobody has to force themselves to really bring it out. If people wouldn't ask me a certain questions, what is this? What is that? Why is it here? Why is it there? I wouldn't even have the answers. Maybe I have the answers, but I don't have them formed.
Yeah.
It takes time to process. It's not that I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing. So when you're creating, don't be afraid that at that moment you don't know what you're doing. You're doing everything right. You're doing everything right, and you will have the answer tomorrow or the day after. You don't have to have the answer when you are creating. I wanted to know, or I wanted to dig into that, because for me I was studying my culture. I wanted to know answers for myself, and I couldn't find them. For a lot of other nations, maybe it's easier. You don't have your books burned or people killed that know the answers. It's just curiosity that makes you dig, and you want to save it for the other generation, or just to print it somewhere so someone who's curious would know. That's what made it so complicated. Otherwise, I'm simple in what I'm doing, and that's what I recommend everyone, to be simple. And you gave a very good example on that. That's why I'm more like the toothbrush than all that what I've done. It's just, and a lot of stuff I didn't show you. I mean, there were so much more failed sketches. I didn't want to mess up your mind, but there's so many unnecessary stuff that you do on the way, and then you select. It's like AI is working and it's giving you the good ones already, or the ones with fucked up fingers with 6-7 fingers, and then you select the good ones. That's how your brain is working with sketching or creating. So you have to be patient and open to your physical and mind abilities.
I have to say it in Armenian. Can you translate it, please? If possible, for our guests. Yes. Okay. Because I don't know the equal word for that specific word. When we are talking about the source of inspiration, in Armenian there is word musa. It's not something very physical. Yeah, booze. Obviously, yeah, of course.
It's a lot of Zeus.
Yeah, maybe. So it's not something physical. It's not something how to say structural for us to see or understand what is that. And if we'll kind of try to find the source of great art, if we will check the, let's say, layers of art in history, we'll find out that the greatest artworks are mostly motivated and inspired by subconscious things, dreams, musa. When someone is sleeping in that, I wake up and I created this. Everything is mostly created with subconscious than with conscious.
Yes,
So,
Right.
Yeah.
the best ideas I'm having like when I get to my
Between sleep and
like the sleep and it's like when I'm doing some workshop and I don't have ideas, like, okay, I should go to sleep already, like, because the ideas come right, and it's the most interesting ideas because I don't have to think, but I have some background of things I've seen, and it comes together.
Exactly.
And boom,
How do you remember them in the morning?
Sometimes it's like, I don't know, I'm just like, oh my god, I have to process this to keep it in my head. And it sometimes works, like when it comes to my mind, it's there already. Like, I mean, yeah, I have some several things that I remember, but I can't just like sketch it or something, but I know exactly what I want. And it's just, it's already muscle memory to like try to draw it and make it to come true. But I can't remember my ideas. Sometimes I forget them, and maybe a year later it comes to my, oh my god,
Oh, right, that is.
Yeah, that's the funniest part. develop your ideas and creating things because it's inside you and it won't get lost.
Right.
And there is
Sorry. It will come the right time that you need to create it, or maybe it will come more advanced when you know more knowledge about how to create these things. Like a lot of things, I had these ideas, and then a year later, I had the same idea came to my head, but it was more advanced, and I knew already how to create this, and it's so happy moments.
Yeah.
Yes,
You explained exactly how it is.
Just to add here, in order sometimes to remember things from our dreams, a little bit like scientific thing, we need enough level of vitamins to get something.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I keep repeating in my head, and then I have dreams related to that. And when I wake up, I was like, okay, I was reminding myself in my dream that I have to do this.
I woke up 4 a.m. in the morning. I took notes. I sketched it and just did it in the morning because.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I send a voice note to myself sometimes.
Me too. I'm recording this.
And I don't understand a single thing. But yeah, the list of Nikichka.
Why I'm trying to say that because I find out something for you specifically.
Okay.
So that's when I was saying in the first part of our meeting that there is something not physical which inspires us, like without any physical connection. That's maybe that moose. So look, for example, we are kind of waking up and having some idea which we think is like only our, but that happens in other country exactly like with the same, let's say, thing happens with another people in different country.
Who is the muse then?
Yeah, I don't know.
There is something that's visiting.
But what I'm trying to say, there is some subconscious connection between us or between us and some connector which inspires us at the same time, and we can do same openings, like very important for humanity in different countries exactly
at the same time.
Yeah.
It's one of
I was just going to say that is the exact way that I open up new applications for it. So I know that I have this problem for me, and I know that someone else definitely had that same problem, and they've already solved it. So why not search it?
The fashion trends always about that. How we love something which is general.
I was
for
gonna
that
come
specific
there.
time.
I was gonna come there for fashion because that's what I study. Trend or putting something on the right moment is 50% of the job.
Yeah.
And what if it's not, well, the muse for sure, it's something that's visited for time to time, like in the cartoon film. What if there is a need that comes at a certain point and then people find a certain solution and it works? And there is one certain thing that works and they use that as a solution in different places. I have this understanding. There is one world, one motion. In Armenian, there is the word an angle, the point of view, the angle from where you observe. And from every corner of the world, you observe from a different perspective, but we observe exactly one same thing. And that's what's shaping the culture. That's my opinion. That's how I see it. And with this research, it was more like a process for me that tomorrow I'm not going to work so much. I'm just going to, because I recognize something and it's not going to take me this long anymore, for sure. I recognize that perspective and that angle of observing for myself. And I think everyone should do that process for themselves because it gives you your identity that's nobody going to ever take away from you. Nobody will ever tell you that somebody else did exactly the same. Because even if it's identical, even if it's similar, the ring you made is going to be yours, and you have your background to confirm that it's mine. I came to this with this journey, and no one would ever doubt in that. That's
I'm having the same problem sometimes when it comes to something to create, like more functional, more technical. And when I try to create something, I'm thinking like, oh, maybe someone has done this better than me. So I have to research how can I do it better than them, and yes, that's my problem. Like, and I stop there, and I like the idea I had first, and doesn't come to life anymore because I'm worried that someone did it, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe they will think I've done it because I'm copying, but I have vision in myself, and I have different emotion that can bring me to this idea. Yeah, so like the biggest advice that I received recently is like, whatever you do, even it's copy, you're doing in your own way. It's will never be the same because the way you started, the way you're making the process is also very interesting, very important part because. Yes, you're having so much fun when you're doing the process. Then when you get the final product, it's like, oh, I'm done. I should do something else now. Yes.
You're right about the creative process. I 100% agree. But when it comes to business, you have to make a choice. If you're a student, if you're exploring, if you're bringing your vision, it's different. But when there is a market and you have to compete in the market, you have to think twice. If you are putting that product in the market, or you make the decision to not to do that.
Yeah, that's market.
Market is like a game changer when you start to think from that perspective. Because if you want to survive as a designer or someone that's in a sustainable process of making living on that, there is Darwin perspective. You have to observe to figure it out.
That's the limit. The limits your mind to create.
That's why you create. When you're done, you make a selection. For example, I made 1,000 sketches, 1,000 patterns. I had to because. For example, the digital space was not ready. I had to change the collection 3 times because you can't have the same collection in the same season. You have to adopt the trends, fall, winter, and then switch to spring, summer, and then back to fall, winter. It's like really annoying process. But because of this, you really filter out. I keep this, I change this. This is not surviving. And it's a choice when you finish the creative process. You can show to more commercial people in your environment and ask them, like, which one would you buy? Which one would you wear? And then you filter it out. Even if it's a design that you liked, you need to go through that process too.
Yeah, you should ask others questions.
And the same happened about our personalities. When we are starting to compare before completing us as a project or as a creators, we are kind of becoming very boring, very unmotivated. But when we are kind of keeping everything going and doing whatever we want and enjoying the process without comparing ourselves, something beautiful comes out always.
Yeah,
100%.
That's a very important point. Because every time I'm experiencing,
just do it.
What if it's not good enough? What is like I start sometimes comparing, like, realize you just do you, and because it's your emotions and it doesn't have to be judged or I don't know.
You have to slow down at that moment.
Yeah.
It's the slow life that you've been craving.
Yeah.
When you are creating, the world should stop for you.
Yeah.
You're not late from anything.
Yeah,
That's
like
sometimes through working in nature, you can try.
Sometimes I do a lot of ideas, like I do workshop right after each other, like in a row, and I and last day I was like, oh my god, I don't have any ideas anymore. Like, I need to function with this again. And yeah, now it's kind of stopping to think what I can create so amazing, and just to move with the feelings, like what would you like to have right now? It's like just me and myself, and go somewhere to explore something, to get more inspiration, like you did in Armenia, going around. It's something that I want to do this year, to go to the churches to find new inspirations, because my best ideas come from the places I went.
You could even look around your local city.
Yeah, it's kind of I see love around my
You
city.
might see something you didn't see before.
Yeah.
That's very much yours. That's really connected with your identity, but maybe you didn't realize. So when you go back home, you're gonna look around again from a different point of view.
Reconnecting with nature.
Yeah. And switch off your internet. It's really helpful.
I do it.
I did majority of my thinking in Karabakh, to be honest, because there was almost no internet all the time, especially during the last few years. And the life was so different. It was really like, even you couldn't ring someone. You just, if you want to speak to someone, you go check if he's home. If he's not, they tell you where he is and you go check.
Oh.
And then it was really slow. During the day, you go to a countryside, you chill. Maybe your brain is not processing at that moment, but there is a process happening for sure. And it's good to have the slow brain when you're creating something.
So all the research you did, it's not from the media, it's more from books, and like not online but offline books and stuff.
I would say both. Try. It's when you have a question and then you try to find an answer to your question. You find the source. You would find it in internet. You would find it in Matanadaran or in a museum or I don't know somewhere. Or you would find a researcher who would know, and then maybe you would go see him and his information is nothing to you, and then you find another source. It's a process. But you do it once in a life, maybe twice. But I think for a creative, it's necessary to create a base for their creative path and their identity.
Isn't it like a constant thing to do research?
Yes, but there is a level of research you do. For example, let's bring this example on fashion houses. There's Yves Saint Laurent that I can present someone that would look wearing Yves Saint Laurent. They have dark hair mostly, not a crazy hairstyle, just washed and left it like that. Dark eyes, maybe a little bit of glitter, like black eyeliner or something, a black suit, pretty skinny pants, and then slim shoes, and very classy, and maybe a dark shirt under, or something, again, glittery. If we put, for example, a Jacquemus girl, if I show you someone with a big head, chunky shoulders with shoulder pads, and then more narrow silhouettes, short with light heels and something on a heel, you would say it's a Jacquemus. If we put a jacket, a blazer with little pockets, with a square silhouette, and the skirt with little heel and nice shoes, you would say it's a Chanel girl. Everyone has an identity, and you don't change this identity. Every collection is not the same, but your identity is the same. So to find your philosophy and identity, you do this once. You have a base mood board that's never changing. That's why when every creative director comes to a fashion house, they give you this and they give you a frame, and they're like, you are not getting out of this frame. All your creative process is within this frame. That's why Alessandro Michele changed his fashion house recently from Gucci. He went to Valentino, and everyone is like, oh, he's doing Gucci. No, because before he was doing Alessandro Michele, and he's still doing Alessandro Michele. He didn't sink into the identity of Gucci and Valentino. It was very slight process of sinking in. Margiela is very clear. Painted shoes in white, even if there is a structure, even if there is different color, but you paint it in white and it's Margiela. It's his identity. So you don't have to have 1,000 things, but 4 or 5 things that only you are doing has to be there. You would evolve. You don't have to, but it's, when you have a frame, it's easier for you. For example, I have created this, let's say this creatures. I created a chain necklace with it. I created different products. I have another version of it. I'm gonna make another necklace with it. You have still that character going on. If anyone, even if anyone is seeing a human character somewhere, they send it to me. They're like, "Oh, it looks like your stuff." They don't tell me anymore, "You did something like them." They're like, "It looks like your stuff," because I did evolve. I can work with this all my life. My entire life, I can work with this human. They're like, now part of my identity. Everyone is gonna, if I keep on doing few collections that are gonna be related to dragon, in 5 years, if anyone would hear about a dragon, they're gonna remember my name. Because it's my identity. It's gonna be.
And also repetitiveness of the same methods will make you much more recognizable.
Exactly.
Like with photography, for example, if one person uses like a frame in fashion, you say, with some kind of limitations, but it repeats it very frequently, like 10 years. Everybody thinks that this stuff is his, for example.
Right.
And then 20 years later, another photographer creates even more body of work with the same frame. And everybody now thinks that this is stuff about this person.
I think
this creator.
Identity is more complicated than just a very, let's say,
signature.
That you are talking about signature, but identity is like more complicated and deeper. It is not something which someone can repeat as you are doing.
Yes, of course. It's like different levels.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yeah, but I mean, there is other brands that repeat, like, for example, painting the shoe or painting something. It's something that Margiela is doing. Somebody else did it, but because of the period of how long they've been doing it, the fact that they've been presented it as this is like their identity, it's already accepted and recognized. So, but it's also repeatable. Somebody else can repeat it.
Yeah, of course. But I think specifically in fashion, and especially in our world, it is getting common that we want to be part of some specific community. And I always think that brands, especially now, are not providing just items to use or to have in our life, but they are also offering us to be part of some communities. That's what you have never, that's what can't be copied. For example, Chinese manufacturers are creating perfect, let's say, alternatives of Adidas or Nike, even better sometimes, really. So you can find really high quality items, very similar with Nike's or Adidas stuff in China. But no one is going to, majority is not going to use that because Nike and Adidas are about community. That's what important for nowadays people, because for now, it's even harder for us to find and to complete us as a project or as a human, let's say, human project, right? It's super hard for us now to create our identity because having too many things is even complicating. Having too much choice is even complicating the process of creating us.
Seeing all those choices makes everything more complicated. I mean, maybe before there were so many options too, but we wouldn't see all the options. Now we see so many things that you don't even remember. You actually touched the biggest problem of fashion. There is a huge crisis in the industry. It's not related to the topic, but if you're curious, I'm just gonna explain you how it works. Because the information is so accessible, and because the production of certain things is so accessible, it's not that people would choose to go buy from Nike. They would buy the design because they don't want to spend the amount, which is normal. And China is taking that opportunity. Well, not only China, Turkey and other countries too. Abidas, Vazidas, Chigidem, all this possible things. Zara as well, they change a slight design in, for example, couture dress, and they present an alternative that's quite similar to it. H&M as well. Now they do collaborations with the fashion house, so it's more reasonable. So fashion house can benefit from it too. But see, here's a big problem. To make that shoe trendy, fashionable, a fashion house or a company like Adidas is spending a lot of money on the marketing to put that shoe on Kanye West or on Bella Hadid or on someone to make it fashionable. And then the Chinese factory is stamping the same without spending all that amount to make it trendy or making it appear somewhere. They sell it. And then the fashion house would make a certain amount and then they lose it. And then there's a problem, how to balance this. That's why a lot of people that are into fashion or into trending stuff, they are not hunting the very trendy products. They're trying to find a very niche designer or a very niche limited product, so it's not accessible. But before the very trendy and very fashionable person sees you as a young designer or as an emerging someone, you have to spend a certain amount of money to be visible enough in this internet and huge industry, a little bit seen and a little bit liked, so they would come for you. Once you do that, and once you become that accessible to them, you start to be copied and you're hacked again. So it's like a loop. It's a sad loop. It's a sad loop, but you may be hacked not from a Chinese company, but a bigger fashion house that's hunting for a fresh idea and put it on a bigger catwalk. That's really problematic now, and they're still not able, sorry.
No, it's your turn. I'm just writing.
They're not able to find a solution for them for the moment. That's all I was saying.
I wonder whether we can also talk about the difficulties of like success, of creating success, both in Armenia and abroad, as we've already like kind of touched up on the topic.
Sure. I can go from my experience. I've been working in the industry for over 10 years. I don't like to promote myself too much and talk about what I do or put on too many influencers and etc., especially local influencers. I've been quietly working on creating my identity so that I can afterwards like move with bigger steps. I'm trying to make my way in Paris now. And just to explain you, I'm a little Nemo in an ocean with sharks. If here I can make it easily, I don't put so much effort to do it here just for a reason. I have a certain amount of clients. My client base is not going to grow so much. I know all my clients almost. They've been with me for years. Maybe every year I would have 5 more extra, or 10, 15 more extra clients, but they're gonna come. Everything in Armenia started to be very expensive. For example, to rent a space to do a pop-up showroom to present your stuff for a short period, I would spend almost the same amount as here as in Paris, and I would choose to spend it in Paris so someone could cross my door more interesting to me than in Yerevan. That would open a better door for me there than here. But I'm not saying that there is no market in Armenia. My products are a bit more expensive for the people who would want to buy, let's say so. More younger and stylish people would want to buy, but it's not affordable enough for their pocket. So my audience is there. I have to work really hard to get them, and once I get them, it's going to be easier for me. If you want to make business out of your design, you can consider what's the amount of the average of they're going to spend on buying an earring, a ring, what they want to buy, what they're craving, and from your identity, you create that product and you offer them and you sell. It's possible to make a business here. It's very much depending whether you want to do it or not. I could do that choice too.
But the market is small here, really very small.
That's true, but if I would produce a bigger amount, a bigger batch from a different material, let's say 1,000 pieces from a metal, not silver and gold, and I would sell for 8 to 10,000, I would sell out all the 1,000 pieces of jewelry in a month. But I made a choice to make gold covered, not pleated, gold covered, which is 1 gram of gold on the jewel, and silver with less amount and more expensive. And I'm not going to sell it that amount in a month, for sure. It's your choice what you choose to do. Because I decided to take another niche market. I could do that too, but when you're trying to present something cultural, that's you want someone to take and pass from a generation, that keep at home, keep as something limited. You can't have metallic piece. You're supposed to have a basic metallic thing. You have to have like a proper material and like properly done and pay someone to. Not just you are working on it, right? You're paying someone else and you have to hire a good specialist. You have to put on marketing the right person to wear it, and this is making it more expensive, etc.
Yeah, right.
But if you're not willing to do that, if you want to just design and do it, you do a research on what kind of product you want to do. What kind of product you're going to sell. You bring your identity there. It's possible. As long as you have your identity, your pattern, you can move it everywhere to a more affordable product, to a luxury product. It's the niche you choose. If you choose to sell here, you choose that niche, you sell it.
Can you please talk to and tell us a little bit about your marketing, what you do, what has worked for you? And I'm very interested in all the things that you have done abroad.
I'm gonna be starting the marketing in September because it's very much expensive abroad, especially when you're new on the board. It's hard to find someone that you can trust because there are big companies that spend you pay a PR company, you hire a PR company or a PR person, and you pay them monthly from 3,000 euros to 50,000 euros. It's depending on the marketing agency you choose. From someone freelance to Carla Otto. And they give you a list of celebrities, a list of bloggers, a list of magazines, a list of, events, etc. that you want to be part of. They make a plan for you. For example, this month we're gonna send your products to this influencers. They're gonna wear to this event. They're gonna be shot in a magazine. We're gonna send this product to like a stylist that's gonna style a campaign or a photo shoot that's gonna be in Vogue Arabia, in Numero Moscow, all this. They include that product in the photo shoot. To a celebrity that's wearing it, to like an A-list celebrity or a C-list celebrity that's wearing it on an event, and someone that's writing an article in a magazine, etc. So they have a plan that they need to do in a month, and you pay them monthly. But it's 50-50 if you're gonna be successful, if it's gonna bring you sales or not. Fashion it's really hard. Jewelry it's expensive. You may invest. I have a good friend. Some of you would know him. His name is Kostrov. He's a great fashion designer in LA. I called him the other day before I would do my last pop-up in Paris. I was like, is it possible to succeed? Because 10 years I'm investing. I can't make enough turnover to cover all I've spent. He said, wait a little more, because it may shot, it may not shot. You might be able to wait for the moment that it's going to shot, or you may not wait, or it may never shot. It's like really 50-50 if you're going to be successful or not. But it means you keep investing until the moment you do. You need to research and find for yourself a good PR company that's going to do good to you.
I'm going to start from like kids niche.
Kids
pattern design that for kids niche.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be creating pattern designs and like selling them abroad.
Mm-hmm.
I come from marketing myself, so I'm going to do the marketing myself. So I was wondering what would be like your advice on that niche, or maybe if you have some experience to share.
I would say present yourself as a freelancer for the first period, and contact the companies that are buying the patterns. I worked with a fabric production company in Italy. They bring all the fabrics from abroad, but they make the prints and the patterns inside their company, and they print and sell to Zara, Burberry, But there are also companies that search out, they outsource freelancers, and then you just make a portfolio and you get in your list good companies that you work with. You can contact Zara. They're working with freelancers. They're announcing some design competitions for patterns.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thanks for that.
That's very interesting. You should search their website and such, and other companies. You should put some patterns that you would want to go viral on Pinterest, and people would use it for free.
Pinterest and Instagram.
Right. Don't be afraid of putting some stuff there so people can use it for free, and then you're going to say, oh, it's my stuff that I made. But what I learned is you don't think about PR, you think about how you make money on it directly. What I did this year, I hired an agent. I gave her my portfolio, my line sheet, etc. And I said, okay, go to make a list of shops and stores and go wholesale them, because it's not my job to do. But because you're just starting now, you need to make yourself accessible to make orders and with good clients, and you need to focus on getting a good client to make a list of them.
If I may just last.
Sure.
So you think that cold outreach, and I think it would be like cold outreach would work better in this case? Like reaching out to people and to companies and showcasing your work would work better in this niche, like for the person who just starts out?
There's a good Russian expression, "Sarafanное радио."
Yeah.
There is nothing that works better than that.
Right. In Armenia, especially.
Everywhere, it's the best.
Create some drama.
That helps.
No, I'm
You make
really
a good impression.
I'm all about the colors.
You make a good impression and then you get a reference. That's what's making like a right.
Thank you.
Since questions are more specific, and maybe some of you have some specific questions and related to your business, I suggest to do coffee stuff, speak with each other, ask questions. But before there, let's say thank you to our speaker. Thank you. It was super interesting, really, and everything was like well prepared. I think everyone is going with some outcomes and motivation.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope you're motivated
Sure is.
and you're gonna make your identity and your patterns to get from there
Yeah.
to your creative journey. And good luck on that. Thank you for waking up and coming this morning.
Thank you for
Good job.
sharing this all because it was a lot of new sources to try to go that part. Yeah.
Good luck. Body, Jana, body.